So, hello, you guys. This is fucked up Anmol again, uh, and I am late because मैंने सोचा था कि मैं रात के 1:30 पे पढ़ाई शुरू करूंगा एंड आई हैव इट 4 आवर 5 आवर 6 आवर या फिर जितना भी कर पाऊँ एंड गेस व्हाट मैंने कुछ नहीं किया है मैंने स्टार्ट तक नहीं किया है अब 4:30 बजे हैं एंड आई नीड टू कंप्लीट एनालॉग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स बाय टुमारो टुमारो क्या टुडे पता नहीं कैसे होगा करते हैं कुछ कुछ तो करते हैं um, all right, I am starting my study stream now. Cool. Oh. उसके बाद सबसे पहले जैसे एक और बार मेडिटेशन कर लूँगा, एक और बार मेडिटेशन कर लूँगा। यहाँ पे सारे सीटिंग अरेंजमेंट खोल लेते हैं। Wow! baffling, little bafflings हो रहा है. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Hey, hey. Ooh, 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 ooh. Hey, say I keep a check. Calling it quiz now, baby, I'm a wreck. Start of someone took the pic, I don't know how to. भाई अब मैं अगर गाने सुनूंगा तो भी वो कॉपीराइट में इंक्लूड होएगा क्या? Let's Google it. If I like volume music during live stream on YouTube, is it copyrighted? I guess that's better. about the things that we could be. Lately, I've been praying hard. Say no more counting dollars, you'll be counting stars. You'll be counting stars. Sing my heart across the line. Oh, I'm not that old, young. I'm not that bold. I don't think the world is so. Just remember what we told. I feel something so right. Doing the right thing. I feel something so right. Doing the right thing. Everything that kills me makes me feel alive. I feel something so wrong. Doing the right thing. Good life, good life, good life. Everything that counts me. The legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Achilles and his gifts, Spider-Man's control, and Batman with his fists. And baby, I don't see it, such a fun blacklist. She said, where do you wanna go? Do you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superheroes, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can touch with, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. I'm not looking for somebody, some superhuman, yeah, some superhero, some fairy tale mess, just something I can touch and somebody I can kiss. I want something just like I am fucked. I am fucked. Oh, oh, oh. I am so shit. Oh my god. I am literally fucked. You need to shut down now. Fuck! सो इंट्रोडक्शन ठीक है स्टिमुलेशन लीनियर एंड सैचुरेशन ठीक है नॉन लीनियर सिग्नल प्रोसेसिंग एप्लीकेशंस नॉन लीनियर सर्किट एप्लीकेशन of output इतना बड़ा है ओके सो जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ कॉपीराइट कुछ कॉपीराइट ना हो तो आई शो यू कि मैं कहाँ से पढ़ रहा हूँ बट आई कांट शो इट कम्प्लीटली तो मैं थोड़ा सा ओबीएस में इस चीज़ को साइड में कर दूंगा अराउंड इतना यहाँ पे मैं कर दूँ एंड इफ आई नाउ स्टार्ट दिस तो स्क्रीन पे कैसा दिखेगा तो हल्का सा साइड कर देते हैं यार और मे बी व्हाट इफ आई डू दिस अब अगर मैं ये काम करूँ मे बी व्हाट इफ आई डू दिस अब अगर मैं ये काम करूँ मे बी व्हाट इफ आई डू दिस हम्म इसको ऐसे कर देना है बस ठीक है भाई देखो सिर्फ और सिर्फ कॉपीराइट से बचने के लिए ऐसा कर रहा हूँ सिर्फ और सिर्फ कॉपीराइट से बचने के लिए
Hey friends, welcome to the YouTube channel.
वेलकम तो ठीक है भाई पेन खो गया यार मेरा यू नो दैट वर्स्ट थिंग दैट हैपेंस ऐसा तुम जैसे ही पढ़ने बैठो पूरा मन लगा के जैसे ही पढ़ने बैठो पेन गुम हो जाएगा अब मैं पेन किधर ढूंढूं ओह ये रहा देखो बगल में पड़ा नॉन लीनियर ऑप एम्प्स
And all about electronics. So in this video, we will understand how to log and anti-log amplifier with op-amp. Now, using the logarithmic characteristics of the circuit components, it is possible to convert the multiplication into the addition and the division into the subtraction. And similarly, it is possible to convert the powers and the roots into the multiplication and the division respectively. For example, let us say you have a signal A, and if you pass the signal through the logarithmic amplifier followed by the scaling circuit, which scales the input by, let's say, some factor p, then the output of this circuit will be equal to B times the log of the signal A. And if we pass this signal through the anti-log amplifier, then we can raise the original signal to the power of this scaling factor. Similarly, let us assume that we are passing the output of the logarithmic amplifier through some division circuit, which divides the output of this logarithmic amplifier by a factor of 1 by 2. And then if we pass this signal through the anti-log amplifier, then we can find the square root of the signal. Now this division circuit can be as simple as the voltage divider circuit, and just by changing the division factor, we can find the cube root or the nth root of the original signal. So this type of circuit is very useful in finding the RMS value of the signal. So in this way, these log and anti-log amplifiers are very useful in performing the mathematical operations, or we can say that it is an essential part of the analog computer. So apart from performing these mathematical operations, these log and anti-log amplifiers are very useful for the signal operation. So using this amplifier, we can even reduce or enhance the dynamic range of the signal. Now these log and anti-log amplifiers can be designed by using the diode and the transistors. So first we will design this log and anti-log amplifiers using the diode, and later on we will modify this circuit for the further improvements. So here is the simple circuit of this log amplifier, which is designed using the diode and the op-amp. So here this diode is connected in the feedback path between the output and the inverting input terminal. Now here let us assume that IR is the current which is flowing through this resistor R, and ID is the forward current of this diode, and VD is the forward voltage across this diode. Now if we apply the concept of virtual ground, then we can say that this also at a ground potential. So now if we apply the KVL in this loop, then we can say that the output voltage Vout will be equal to minus VD. And if we apply the KCL at this node, then we can say that this current IR will be equal to the current which is flowing through this diode. And this current IR will be equal to the input voltage divided by this resistor R. Now here the relationship between the forward current of this diode and the voltage across this diode can be given by this expression. So here in the
V out जो है ठीक है, V out equal to minus VD, IR equal to ID, and V by R, V in by R equal to ID.
voltage across this diode can be given by this expression. So here this IS is the reverse saturation current and VT is the thermal voltage of this diode, while the VD is the forward voltage across the diode and the eta is the ideality factor. Now generally the ideality factor used to be in the range of 1 and 2, and it depends upon the forward current of this diode. So for the ideal diode, this ideality factor should be equal to 1, but in reality it varies between 1 and 2. Now here this reverse saturation current and the thermal voltage are the temperature dependent parameters. So with temperature these two parameters will change. In fact, this reverse saturation current will almost get doubled after every 10 degree rise in temperature, while the thermal voltage will change with the temperature by this expression. So here this K is the Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature of the diode, while Q is the charge of electron. So if you put all these values and if we evaluate the value of this thermal voltage at T is equal to 300 degree Kelvin or at room temperature, then the approximate value of this thermal voltage will be equal to around 25.8 millivolt. So at room temperature, if you put the value of this thermal voltage in this expression, then the diode current ID can be given by this expression. Now here this exponential term will be much larger than 1. So approximately we can say that ID is equal to Is times e to the power of 38.6 times this diode voltage Vd divided by this ideality factor. And in general, at any temperature, we can write this expression ID as ID is equal to Is times e to the power of Vd divided by eta Vt. Now from this, we can say that divided by eta Vt equal to Is times e to the power of Vd divided by eta Vt. Now from this, we can say that ID divided by this Is is equal to e to the power of Vd divided by Is is equal to Vd divided by eta Vt. That means
बाय बाय बाय
Vd
बाय
will
बाय
be
आई लॉस्ट ट्रैक मेरे को दोबारा से देखना पड़ेगा कंसंट्रेशन कहाँ है बोल रही कहाँ है कंसंट्रेशन फेल हो जाएगा एग्जाम में ये भी नहीं कह रहा कि नौकरी नहीं लगेगी
ID can be thermal would with the temperature by this expression. So here this K is the Boltzmann constant and T is the temperature of the diode while Q is the charge of electron. So if you put all these values and if we evaluate the value of this thermal voltage at T is equal to 300 degree Kelvin or at room temperature, then the approximate value of this thermal voltage will be equal to around 25.8 millivolt. So at room temperature, if you put the value of this thermal voltage in this expression, then the diode current ID can be given by this expression. Now here this exponential term will be much larger than 1. So approximately we can say that ID is equal to Is times e to the power of 38.6 times this diode voltage Vd divided by this ideality factor. And in general, at any temperature, we can write this expression ID as ID is equal to Is times e to the power of Vd divided by eta Vt. Now from the to the power of Vd divided by eta Vt. Now from this we can say that ID divided by this Is is equal to e to the power of Vd divided by eta Vt. Now suppose if we take the natural log on both sides, then we can say that ln of Id divided by Is is equal to Vd divided by eta Vt. That means Vd will be equal to eta Vt times ln Id divided by Is. Now earlier we have found that this output voltage Vout will be equal to minus Vd, and this current IR will be equal to the current that is flowing through this diode, and that will be equal to this input voltage Vin divided by this resistor R. So if you put all these values, then you can say that the output voltage Vout will be equal to minus eta Vt times ln input voltage Vin divided by this current Is times the value of this resistor R. So this is the expression of the output voltage in case of a log amplifier, and as you can see over here, the output voltage is proportional to the natural log of the input voltage. Now we will talk more about this log amplifier to the natural log amplifier, and as you can see over here, the output voltage is proportional to the natural log of the input voltage. Now we will
प्रोपोर्शनल तो नहीं है देखो माइनस का साइन है मतलब ऐसे कैसे बोल सकते हो माइनस का साइन है उसमें तो फिर प्रोपोर्शनल कैसे हुआ
We'll talk more about this log amplifier at the later part of the video, but now first of all let us see similarly how we can design the anti-log amplifier. So now here, just by interchanging the position of this diode and the resistor, we can convert the log amplifier into the anti-log amplifier. So now here, let us assume that the current that is flowing through this diode is equal to ID, and the current that is flowing through this resistor is equal to IR, and Vd is the voltage across this diode. Now, because of the virtual ground concept, this node will be also at a ground potential. So now if we apply the KVL in this particular loop, then we can say that this input voltage V will be equal to the voltage across the diode. And if we apply the KCL at this node, then we can say that this diode current ID will be equal to the current that is flowing through this resistor. R that is equal to minus V out divided by this resistor R, or simply we can say that the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times the current that is flowing through this diode. Now we know that the diode current ID can be approximately given as Is times e to the power of Vd that is flowing through this diode. Now we know that the diode current ID can be approximately given as Is times e to the power of Vd divided by theta Vt. And earlier, as we have seen, the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times this diode current. So we can say that will be equal to minus R times this diode current. So we can say that the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times ID, or we can say that that is equal to minus R times Is into e to the power of Vd divided by theta Vt. Now, as we have seen, this input voltage V will be equal to the voltage across the diode. So we can say that this output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times Is into e to the power V in divided by theta Vt. So this is the expression of the output voltage in case of the anti-log amplifier. So here are the two expressions for the log and the anti-log amplifiers. And as you can see over here, the output voltage V out is also depend on the other factors like the ideality factor beta, the thermal voltage Vt, the reverse saturation current Is. Now, like I said before, this reverse saturation current and the thermal voltage are the temperature dependent parameters. So with temperature they will change. Now we will talk more about these two factors at the later part of the video. But before that, first of all, let us talk about this ideality factor. Now, like I said before, this ideality factor used to be in the range of 1 and 2. And because of this ideality factor, the dynamic range of the circuit used to get reduced. So that is the disadvantage of this diode-based log and anti-log amplifier. And that problem can be solved by using the transistor-based log and anti-log amplifier. So here is the circuit of a log amplifier which is designed using the transistor and the op amp. Now here in fact this transistor is used as a diode, and this circuit is also known as the trans-diode configuration. So if you observe the circuit here, this base is at a ground potential, and because of the virtual ground, this collector of this transistor will also at a ground potential. So basically, this collector base junction is at a ground potential. So only this base emitter junction will be active in this transistor. So effectively, this transistor will act as a diode. So now let us write down the different current. Which is flowing through this circuit. So here this IR current is flowing through this resistor R, and IC and the I are the collector and the emitter currents of this transistor. Now approximately we can say that this collector current will be equal to emitter current, and if we apply the KCL at this node, then we can say that this resistor current IR will be equal to this collector current IC, and that will be equal to this input voltage V divided by the resistor. This, and if we apply the KCL at this node, then we can say that this resistor current IR will be equal to this collector current IC, and that will be equal to this input voltage V divided by the resistor R. Now here, let us assume that the voltage across this base emitter junction is equal to VB, and if we apply the KVL around this loop, then we can say that this output voltage Vout will be equal to minus VB. So using this, now let us find out the output voltage for this log amplifier. Now here in the given circuit, as this base emitter junction is acting like a diode, so we can write the relationship between this VB and the I in a similar fashion that we have written for the diode. And here, as this collector current is approximately equal to this emitter current, so we can write the relationship as IC is equal to IS times e to the power of VB divided by this thermal voltage VT minus 1. Approximately, we can write this expression as IS times e to the power of VB. The relationship as IC is equal to IS times current. So we can write the relationship as IC is equal to IS times e to the power of VB divided by this thermal voltage VT minus 1. Approximately, we can write this expression as Is times e to the power of Vb divided by Vt, because this exponential term is much larger than 1. Now, from this expression, we can easily find the relationship between the output voltage and the input voltage. So, if we rearrange this expression, then we can write this expression as Vbe, that is equal to Vt times ln Ic divided by Is. Now earlier we have written that this output voltage Vout will be equal to minus VB. and this collector current IC will be equal to the current that is flowing to this resistor R, that is equal to V in divided by this resistor R. So from this we can say that the output voltage V out will be equal to minus Vt times this natural log of this input voltage V in divided by R times the saturation current Is. So this is the expression of the output voltage for the log amplifier, which is designed using the transistor. And as you can see over here, for the transistor, the additivity factor is equal to 1. So there is a no dependency on the additivity factor. So using this transistor-based log amplifier, we can increase the dynamic range of the circuit. So now similarly, let us find out how we can design the anti-log amplifier using this transistor. So here we have just interchanged the position of the resistor and the transistor. Now using the concept of virtual ground, we can say that this collector is also at a ground potential. But here, to make this base emitter junction positive, this input voltage V should be less than 0, or we can say that the input voltage should be negative, because here we are using the NPN transistor. So if you want to apply the positive input voltage, then instead of this NPN transistor, we should use PNP transistor. So now in this PNP transistor, we should use PNP transistor. So now in this PNP transistor, if we apply the positive voltage at this node, then this emitter base junction will become forward biased, and we can use this circuit as an anti-log amplifier. So now let us write down the different currents for the given circuit. So here, once again, let us assume that I and the IC are the emitter and the collector current for the given transistor. And here we are assuming that IR is the current which is flowing through this resistor R. Now considering the virtual short, this node will be at a ground potential. So now let us apply the KVL around this loop. So we can say that this input voltage V will be equal to the voltage across this emitter and the base junction. Now considering we are using the PNP transistor, instead of writing VB, we are writing a VEB. And now if we apply the KCL at this node, then we can say that this current IC will be equal to the current IR, that is equal to minus V out divided by this resistor R. Or simply we can say that the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times this collector current IC. Now earlier as we have seen, this collector current can be given by the expression Is times e to the power VEB divided by VT. And as we have just seen, the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times this collector current IC. So we can say that output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times this Is into e to the power of VEB divided by VT. Now, just we have also seen that this input voltage V in is equal to VEB. So from this we can say that the output voltage V out will be equal to minus R times Is into e to the power V in divided by Vt. So this is the expression of output voltage in case of an anti-log amplifier which is designed using the transistor. So here at case of an anti-log amplifier which is designed using the transistor. So here are the expressions for this log and anti-log amplifiers which are designed using the transistor. So using this transistor, the dependency on the ideality factor has been removed. But still, if you observe these expressions, the output voltage still depends upon the thermal voltage Vt and the reverse saturation current Is. So with temperature, the output voltage V out will change. So now let us find out how we can modify the circuit so that the dependency on the temperature can be removed. So here is the circuit of a temperature compensated log amplifier.
भाई ऑल दिस इज फकिंग डिफिकल्ट, दिस इज वे बियॉन्ड माई थिंग, मतलब मैं नहीं कर सकता भाई, ये बहुत गंदी चीजें हैं, बहुत गंदी चीजें हैं। भाई कितना फक्ड अप सीन है, कितना ज्यादा फक्ड अप सीन है। बेसिकली अभी मेरे को बहुत कुछ पढ़ना है भाई, ये एनालॉग इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, पावर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स, डायोड्स, ट्रांजिस्टर, मॉसफेट्स, बीजेटीज, फिर पता नहीं ये एम्पलीफायर्स, ऑप एम्प्स, और ये सैचुरेशन करंट, और भाई फक, बहुत गंदी चीजें हैं, बहुत गंदी चीजें हैं। ओह, भाई गाइस, बाय बाय। मैं नहीं पढ़ सकता, मैं कूदने जा रहा हूँ। भाई क्या करूं मैं इसका? भाई नहीं हो रहा, कुछ नहीं हो रहा मेरे से भाई, बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग है सब कुछ। नहीं होता यार, नहीं होता। भाई गाइस, लाइट ले रहा हूँ मैं, मेरे से नहीं होगा ये सब। जिंदगी में बहुत कम है। सोने जा रहा हूँ मैं। कुछ भी नहीं सकता। क्या बकवास है। बाय बाय। मेरे से नहीं होगा अभी।